about this talent that she has. And in this film, you can see there even Icelanders that come and seek advice from her. There's one man there who wants to build a guest house in an area, and he's a little bit uncertain if the elves are going to accept it. And because he is scared of the wrath of the elves, and he's in that frequency. And so she goes with him, and she kind of connects with his face and communicates, and she says, you know, the elves have accepted you, and you can go on and build. And they're grateful that you reached out to me. And you know, for some people this may sound totally crazy, but you know, this is just part of the culture. There's a culture of magic here. And what do we know? The things that we didn't know in ancient time. Imagine just Leonardo da Vinci that was imagining flight. There's some illustration he did because he imagined like, hey, maybe one day we can fly. And can you just imagine the people around him? Oh, he's such an artist. He's crazy. And now we're flying in space, and we don't even realize the miracle it is. And you know how it was considered impossible a few years ago. So what do we know? Maybe we're going to be able to prove the existence of these creatures. This woman, Raka, the seer, she says they are beyond time and space. It's very interesting. And she says there are fifth dimensional creatures out there. What? Because I had actually heard in a theoretical physicist called Richard Tuttle. So an interview with him where he was talking about that there are various dimensions, and we are kind of fixated on the third dimensional, and he was talking about parallel universe, wormhole. I love this stuff. But he's doing that through math. It's just total science. And he was even explaining the fourth dimension. So I'm like, let's give it some time, and maybe, you know, we're going to see people realizing that if these are creatures beyond time and space, there's something more magical going on. And the seer and the unseen, there was an amazing film crew behind it. They are a team from LA and New York City. They've actually been nominated twice to the Oscars. Enough of this film though. One is called Fire of Love. It's about these French volcanologists that are chasing volcanic events. And then there is the other film called Navalny. And they actually did win an Oscar for that one. It's about this Russian lawyer who's been fighting Putin for a long time. Unfortunately, it goes so well for him in that battle. Yeah, so serious film production, and they followed this woman for 4 years, and it's beautifully shot, and it also kind of ties into the economic collapse. They were actually hit very badly with the economic collapse of this woman and her family, and so it's interesting how they weave it together. You know, the world of money that's more or less has become a little more invisible. Like nowadays we just have our phones, we can scan it, and suddenly numbers change on our screens, and you know, yeah, it's really fascinating film. So check it out. Now we are now basically at the tip of the Reykjavik Peninsula. We are now headed to the north, and you still have the glacier here on your right, and this is all part of the Snæfellsjökull volcanic system. And here's a really famous crater, another beautiful crater called Saxon. It's about 100 meters high, 330 feet, and people can climb up there, but we don't have the time to do it on this tour. But if you come back, I already have 2 passengers that have been here, and this is their second time here. So you never know, maybe you want to come. And there's so many other spots and locations to visit, so definitely keep that in mind. So you can see there are a few craters, and when you go on top of Saxon, you're going to see there are more in the distance. There are other craters here, and of course lava fields. lava fields here. I was thinking to talk a little bit about modern Iceland. Maybe you already learned some of these things if you've done previous tours. But I was talking earlier today about the only civil war that we fought here, called the era of Sturlunga, where we basically lost our independence and freedom, and we're under kings and queens for 680 years, and then we are in 1944, in the Second World War, we finally gained our independence from Denmark. We had, prior to that, become a sovereign nation in 1980. We've been fighting for sovereignty for a long time. But just to kind of bring us quickly to the modern times, and I'll probably later I'm going to talk a little bit about how we came or how we became independent. But first, I thought it'd be interesting for you to know that today we are a democratic country, and we have been independent for 82 years. In a democratic country, we have every 3 years we have election, and the head of state is the president. But our president does not have executive power like you have in the U.S. Our president is more like a figurehead. And then we have a government or cabinet, and at the helm of the cabinet is the prime minister. And so I thought I should let you know that in 2024, for the second time in our history, we elected a female president. Can I get a yay? Yay! Yay! Also we had election for the new government, and interestingly enough, there were 12 parties in the Reykjavik area fighting for a seat, which feels a little bit extreme to have 12 parties when we have only 400,000 people. We were very specific on what we want in this world. Anyways, but 3 of the parties that won were all led by women, and so they put together the new cabinet or government, and so the prime minister is a woman, the foreign minister is a woman, the minister of children and education is a woman, the minister of health, justice and industries are all ladies. So 6 of 11 ministries or departments are all led by women. Yay! Yay! Let's get a yay, yay, yay! And listen, like my father was so happy about this. He was like, yes, finally, let's see what the ladies are gonna do. And even my colleagues here, they're like, I didn't even pay attention to it until somebody said, hey, these are mostly women. And that is, for me, is amazing, because it shouldn't be about that women are taking over. It's not about that. It's just, this is what's happening. It's very rare and special. Also, the head of the parliament or the president of the parliament is a woman. The mayor of Reykjavik capital is a woman. And one thing I should say, maybe less interesting for some of you here, but you know, because we became Christian Lutherans, many people, Icelanders of course became in those days Christians, leaving the Catholic faith, and so the head of the Lutheran Church is the bishop, and then you have priests. And let me tell you, about 60 years ago, women were not allowed to be priests or spread the gospel, and forget about being a bishop. But now, I looked at the number recently, it's almost 50-50 female-male priests, perhaps a little bit more male female. We are looking at that radio mast here. It's a massive tower here. It's about 400 meters tall. It was for channel 1 and channel 2. We are no longer using this for broadcasting, but they are still keeping it here. And I'm like, wow, this thing must be so strong, because I think one of the worst weathers I've experienced here is right in this area. Extremely powerful winds are blowing through this area here. I don't know if they're going to remove it, but it's still here, and you can even see a little sign on it. I think it says your roof. RUV. It stands for the state radio. Supposed to be windy here on the north end when we looked at the forecast this morning, but it feels like there is hardly any wind here. And we are now approaching the village of Hellissandur. There's going to be big festivities here at the solar eclipse, so I can see they're already starting to prepare. We're going to stop at the visitor center here. Very interesting visitor center. There's a lot of educational information here and data on various things regarding this park here. And there's even a viewpoint if you want to walk up there and just take in this magnificent landscape. Now we can see there's a much better situation here in terms of the ice cap of Snæfellsjökull. There are 4 bathrooms outside when you approach the visitor center.